continues now from Indianapolis, as we are very pleased to be joined by a familiar face for Big Ten fans, head coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes, Fran McCaffery. And Coach, obviously it's a big weekend for the Big Ten, and we want to get into Michigan State and Wisconsin, their matchups with you, because you know both those teams really well. But give people a sense, I don't think everyone understands, fans don't understand necessarily, this is the coaches' convention. This is a big weekend for coaches. Give us a sense of everything you've done during the course of the last couple days and are doing today.
Well, today in particular, I've done a lot with Coaches versus Cancer. I'm on the National Council with a number of coaches, so we met this morning. There's also a luncheon that's hosted by the coaches' wives. My wife, Margaret, is on that committee. Unbelievable speeches at that event today. I was at a Coaches versus Cancer huddle last night. Our good friend Doug Gottlieb spoke. He was absolutely fabulous. And I was on radio with him yesterday. There's various coaching clinics. There's the Division I head coaches meetings. There's the assistant coaches meetings. And it's an unbelievable networking opportunity for anybody in this profession.
Coach, I'm going to ask you to take off your familiar colors for a second.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you to put some green on right now.
Okay.
And you're going up against the Duke Blue Devils. I want to know what you're telling your team and what is the strategy to get to the national championship game.
You know, I think when you're playing Duke, the first thing you think about is Okafor.
Yep.
I mean, because he's one of those guys, they can run their offense through him at any point in time. He's a great passer. If you double him, it's a problem. He's a terrific passer. He can also put it on the deck. But, you look at this team, and I have been so impressed with their perimeter quickness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Tyus Jones, Quinn Cook, Justice Winslow, those guys have really, to me, maybe been more of the difference than Okafor has been. With all due respect, because he's probably going to be the first pick in the draft.
Sure.
But that's, to me, is what makes Duke difficult to play against, is that they have that combination. But I think you've got to go at him. You've got to make him defend. And then you know what Michigan State's going to do. They're going to get consecutive stops.
Yep.
That's what they do. So if they're not scoring, you're not scoring.
Right.
And that's how they're always in the game, and they have an uncanny ability to win games late.
Coach, you've been around this for a long time and understand Coach Izzo, the success he's had. And we asked Eric Snow this very same question. Do you think, in your opinion, this is maybe one of Coach Izzo's best coaching job in regards to the talent he has in order to get them this far?
Well, you know what, Jimmy? The thing that really impressed me, I'll never forget, about 2.5 months ago, I got a phone call from him after the Texas Southern loss.
Oh, wow.
Because we had just lost to somebody, and he said, I'm calling you because I want to talk to somebody who's as miserable as I am.
I love it.
But, you look and say, okay, what has he navigated the last couple weeks, and that's impressive, and they've got some great wins. But to me, his coaching was from that point, okay, where do we go from here? We just lost to Texas Southern at home, and now they're in the Final Four. So to me, the coaching job from that point to now is what makes him special. And for them, it always starts with defense.
Right.
Let's change gears and talk a little bit about a Wisconsin team that you also know very well from having faced them this year. What stands out to you about the job that Bo has done in getting this program to be a consistent winner?
Well, the interesting thing to me is I think it's really hard to do what you're expected to do. Everybody thought they'd be in the Final Four.
Right.
A little different than the Michigan State journey. But the thing that impresses me about their team, and everybody talks about it's a system, and it is a system, but every one of those guys can take their man one-on-one at any time. And that's what makes them different. And if you start switching, then you've got mismatch situations, size advantages, but it doesn't matter. They can score at any point in time in a shot clock that they want to score from any position on the floor. And that's what makes them so hard to guard. They're so efficient with their passing. They don't turn it over, and they share the ball. Everybody's a willing passer. Everybody can drive. Everybody can shoot threes. Everybody can post up. Those teams are virtually impossible to guard.
Coach, I know Coaches versus Cancer. I know you're quite involved in that. Give us an update on Patrick and how he's doing.
Well, we're very blessed, Stephen, and thanks for asking because, last year at this time was a much different experience for our family. He's, obviously had just completed his first surgery, had another surgery, had treatment, and so far we're blessed that they can't find any more cancer. They don't declare him cancer-free until a certain period of time goes by. So we've got more scans coming, but he's back hooping. He had 18 dunks.
Oh, he had 18 dunks
as
this
an
year?
8th grader. So,
Wow. So he's taking after his mom, is what you're saying.
taking after his mom, and he might make me look good one day.
Okay, great.
Coach, real quick question on back to the game. This can almost be viewed as Wisconsin's championship game just because of the desire to get back at Kentucky.
Yep.
The night before the game, how do you quell those emotions for this Wisconsin team, knowing that they wanted to have this rematch with Kentucky?
I will tell you this, Jimmy, and you know probably better than I. That team is so different to me when it comes to that kind of thing. Nothing seems to rattle that group. They have incredible leadership, starting with their upperclassmen, but there's no panic at all.
Right.
There's no panic in the locker room. There's no panic at practice. There's no panic in the hotel the night before. It's kind of a very business-like approach. Look, we're going to do what we do. Because when we come into this game, we know we're not going to turn it over. We're not going to get out-rebounded. We're going to make more threes than they make. We're going to share the ball, and we're not going to put you on the free throw line.
Right.
So you're going to have to make baskets.
Right.
The other thing is they're big enough to defend the incredible size that Kentucky has, which I think was going to be inevitable. If anybody's going to beat Kentucky, it had to be somebody that has the size of Wisconsin.
Coach, before we let you go, great year for the Hawkeyes. You won an NCAA tournament game for the first time in more than a decade. You're really building it now, consecutive NCAA tourney appearances. Give us a sense of what's next here for the Iowa program.
Well, you know what? We've got 4 starters back, so that's always a good place to start. But we're going to have essentially 8 new faces next year. And that's going to be fun, I think, for me, for our staff. But it's also going to be a challenge to mix those young guys. We'll be a little bit smaller, but I think a little bit quicker. So I think we'll still be able to play the style that we love.
Well, it's been fun to watch. Congratulations
Thank you.
on getting to the second round of the NCAA. I guess it's the third round, technically, right?
That's right, the third
But I think
round.
it goes back to being the second round next year.
Exactly.
The nomenclature is constantly changing. Fran McCaffery, head coach of the Hawkeyes, we really appreciate you taking some
It's
time
my
to do
pleasure.
this.
Always good to be with you.
Thanks
guys.
so much. Enjoy the weekend. Let's go back to Chicago.